Welcome everybody for this extended version of the How You May Play the Wehrmacht Fraction in Company of Heroes 3. Since many players at the moment are struggling with playing the Wehrmacht Fraction, I decided to talk about the general matchup of both the Wehrmacht Fraction against the US forces as well as the Wehrmacht Fraction against the British forces. And I would like to support the latter matchup with this replay, since many people are especially struggling with playing against the British forces. However, let me first talk about the matchup Wehrmacht against the US forces. And there are actually two ways of the US forces player. So he could play a Pathfinder based build or a Rifleman based build. And if he's playing a Pathfinder based build, I think it's certainly a good idea to go for the mechanized battle group. Just build 3 Grants, 2 Pioneers, tech, go for Jäger with Shreks, and before the Jägers with Shreks, it could be a good idea to go for the 2-2-1, because the Pathfinders can't stand. The 2-2-1 is fast enough to outrun the paratroopers with Zooks, and the 2-2-1 is able to cap territories. It's also good in fighting infantry, so it's quite a good option to go for. Then you can go for the Achtrad Armored Car as well as the Panther Heavy Tank later on when the US Forces player is spamming the Sherman tanks, what he will certainly do. Then you also have the option to go for the Fuel Sager ability to get granted 5 fuel for each decapped and recapped fuel point of yours, to recap with your infantry. And I think this is why this battle group actually is a good way to go for against the Pathfinder build. If you're facing a Rifleman build, however, then the Breakthrough Battle Group I think is the better way to go, maybe, because the MP40s are incredibly strong. So with this battle group you would like to build up to 4 or maybe even 5 Grins, upgrade them with the MP40, and then you have really good capping capabilities. Don't need this ability because you're having enough. You rather may go for the smoke bombing run, because with that you can save low health vehicles as well as low health infantry squads in retreat or stuff like that. You can take out enemy support weapons like mortars or anti-tank guns. And you have access to the 2.5 ton cargo truck, which can increase your income of resources. And the Breakthrough Battle Group is interesting because the Grants that are usually considered to be a little bit weaker than a Rifleman actually surpass the Rifleman with the MP40, even though the Riflemen are upgraded with 2 barbs. That's interesting, I think. And the Grants are able to sprint then, that's also huge. So the Riflemen are also viable because they can build up sandbags, barbed wire, fighting positions. They can reinforce elite squads of yours, they can throw grenades, they can snare enemy vehicles, and then they are also incredibly strong in fighting, so this is huge. And you have access to the targeting, of course, that's also huge. So these are your ways to go for against the US forces. However, now we would like to give this replay a try, and let's see what you can do against the British forces when you're playing the Wehrmacht, or the Südheer. So, first go for the T1, that's classic. I mean, you would like to do that either way, and then you may feel free to go for 3 Grants and then upgrade your T2 to go for Jägers with Rex. However, in this particular match up, which is, against the UK's forces player, I decided to go for a sniper. That is something I rather not do when I play against the US forces, because the US forces players, on the one hand, can just outnumber you severely when they are going for the infantry battle group. That's a huge threat for your sniper build. And on the other hand, if the US forces player is deciding to go for a counter sniper, then he is having a huge advantage, because the US forces counter sniper is just straight up better than the Wehrmacht sniper, because it shoots faster. However, against the British forces, I think a sniper is a good way to go for. However, you need to make sure that you can back it up. So at this map, it's cool to plant some mines like over here, because sooner or later, if you're playing a sniper, the British forces player will go for either a Dingo light scout car or the Humbert armor car. Yeah, to just chase your sniper down. And if you are planting mines like over here and like maybe over here and over here, over here at the crucial positions of the map, then it's quite likely that the sniper hunting early light vehicle will just explode due to the mine. And that's then a huge win for you. Okay, in the meantime we see that I built up sandbags and tried to cap ammunition early on so that I actually can afford my mines. And the sniper is doing sniper stuff. As you can see, the British sappers are incredibly strong, however the Wehrmacht engineers or pioneers are able to fight them when backed up properly. And now I am capping the fuel. And try to fight back these sections of him. I think I'm doing a small mistake over here because you can see, yeah, this straight up flank to my sniper is just revealed now, and I have to retreat and have to search the garrison over here. Yeah, that was a mistake. The sniper took lots of damage and has to retreat. Usually you would like to prevent that. So why did that happen? That was due to the mistake that I extended a little bit too much. So I spread my army here to the south, to the mid, to the north, and that led to my sniper being a little bit exposed to the enemy units. Yeah, that was a mistake. Oh, as we can see here, the Dingo already was trying to chase through the mid, so a mine over here would be huge, because then you could go with your sniper like towards this position, then retreat so that the Dingo is chasing him and runs through the mine. So yeah, I think that's the way to go when you're playing a sniper. Anyways, now the fights are a little bit not for my favor actually, because of this initial mistake of mine. Still, my sniper is proceeding doing sniper stuff, and I back him up with this rifle, with this Grenadier squad and another Pioneer squad coming in. That is important because you always need to make sure to back your sniper up, because yeah, especially if there is something like a Dingo. Oh, and now we see why. Yeah, the Dingo is chasing a sniper. However, since I backed it up, the Dingo is just about to die. Yeah, so that's the way how you may play a sniper. Yeah, and that's also the reason why I like to play snipers against the British forces instead of the US forces. Yeah, because I think it's easier to let's say to deal with some early intervening vehicles instead of just a sheer number of infantry, because if the US forces player is just outnumbering you with tons of riflemen and stuff like that, or pathfinders, everything like that, then he most likely will form a huge blob, and blobs are a huge threat for snipers. So remember, every time you are playing against a sniper, feel free to blob a little bit more than you than usually would like to do it. I mean, usually you would like to prevent blobbing because it's not that a good strat. 1 MG or 1 mine is enough to shut down your blob, and this is then quite a huge loss for you. So blobs usually are more like, yeah, I don't want to say noob play, but they most of the time they are not that strong. However, against snipers or light early vehicles, stuff like that, blobs are a good way to go. Okay, now I lost my pioneer, that's bad, and he is going for a Humbert armored car to counter my sniper. However, at the same time, I guess I tacked up. Yep, and I'm going for Jägers to counter the Humber, because Jägers with Rex are strong. No surprise that this is the current meta for Wehrmacht at the moment. And yes, I have to confess that I'm more or less playing meta for the Wehrmacht sometimes, from time to time, not always, but from time to time. And yeah, you can see the current Wehrmacht meta in this very match. So it's just building 3 Grins and 2 Jägers, 2 Engineers, and then instantly store for the Panzer Force. Yeah, I mean, these are just 3 different units then, and it's enough to have keep the upper hand throughout the entire game. So, incredibly strong meta. As we can see in this matchup, and this is something that's, yeah, possible against the UK forces actually, you are not forced to insta-pick a battle group. Why is that? So, I think if you are playing this build, especially built on the sniper, then yeah, you just don't need MP40 or Luftwaffe, so paratrooper pioneers or paratrooper Jägers, so Fallschirmjägers, because yeah, the thing is, Fallschirmjägers, for instance, they can snare enemy light vehicles. However, since the British forces have really strong light vehicles like the Humber, the Stuart, yeah, stuff like that, you also need Jägers, and then you're just overbuilding infantry units. Overbuilding is maybe not the correct expression, however, you know what I mean. You're just building too much mainline infantry, let's say, and that can be punished. So, why is that? I mean, you probably would build like 3 Fallschirm Pioneers, as well as maybe 1 or 2 Fallschirmjägers and 1 or 2 Jägers with Rex. Yeah, this is as you compare it with this build, a little bit weaker against light vehicles, because 2 Fallschirmjägers are able to snare, in comparison to 3 Grenadiers that are able to snare. Combined with 3 Fallschirm Pioneers and 2 Jägers with Shreks, that's just a huge manpower investment for infantry, and certainly will lead to a manpower bleed for you. So I think that's not that a good idea against the British forces. So what I wanted to say is just don't waste your engineers. Just go for this build against the British forces, and feel free not to pick any battle groups as long as you really need them. Maybe we later see some yeah, incidences where it could have been a good idea to choose a battle group. Oh well, let's wait for that. Rebuilt by Pioneers, they just cost 125 munitions, that's good. This is a huge strength of the Wehrmacht Pioneers. They are just cheap, and upgrade with a flamethrower, they are not even that bad in fighting. Snipers already having 12 kills. That's not good enough, actually. We get the wipe over here? No. 12 kills. Usually I consider a good sniper to have like 2 kills per minute. So if he's having 2 kills per minute, then he's really good. Now he's not even that bad, however it's not super effective as well. And as you can see now, I mean, never forget to back up your sniper. So always make sure that you are having 1 Jäger with Rex and 1 Grenadier in the close area of your sniper, so that dives like that can't be successful. As you can see, the Humber armored car is just get killed However, now we see the thing I was talking about earlier. So how to counter snipers actually is to build a huge blob. And I have no idea whether that was intentionally or unintentionally. However, just did the very correct thing to just build a blob and force my sniper to retreat. He should have been doing that way more often, because if you just more or less know where the enemy sniper is and you just blob him away and force him to retreat, then his efficiency is lower to maybe just getting not even 1 kill per minute, but rather even less. And then the sniper is just a huge manpower investment for no impact. So the same applies to light vehicles. So if you're countering light vehicles, like we saw earlier, sorry, in this match with the Dingo, it was not quite a blob I was using to counter the Dingo. However, it was just a huge amount of infantry to counter it. And yeah, this is the way to go to counter snipers and light vehicles. Just lower their efficiency. Don't let them disturb you too much. I mean, if there's a sniper or a light vehicle, that can be super annoying. However, it's certainly not that a big deal. Alright, now I'm having quite a good map control, and I feel like being well prepared against the Centaur AA medium tank, even though it's quite strong. However, 2 Jaegers with Shreks certainly are able to fight these guys. The pyramid tank. And I think, yeah, I already built up the T4, so that's the way to go for you. If you have the 3 Grens and the 2 Jaegers, 2 Pioneers, next step is to go for the T4 and build the Panzer IV. Alright, so... And as soon as I'm having the Panzer IV, 2 Jaegers with Shreks and the Grens, I think I am incredibly well prepared against the British armored battle group. However, I think now it's time to talk about the battle groups again. So, in this very situation, when you still didn't pick any battle groups and you think, oh, okay, we see a Centaur, a medium tank, so the UK Forces player is going for, yeah, maybe a Churchill quite soon. And it could be a good idea to, yeah, to choose the mechanized battle group due to the Panther heavy tank, because the Panther heavy tank is not even that expensive. It just costs 550 manpower as well as 100 fuel. And it's incredibly strong countering armor, and it doesn't take that much damage from boys rifles, so it's just a huge unit to counter this UK Forces threat. However, at the moment I just did pick it because I thought, yeah, okay, I built my first Panzer IV. Now I would like to have the first upgrade for it, so that it get these armor plates at the side. And then I am not having enough fuel and manpower and stuff like that to go for the Panther, and I am not having enough command points anyway, so the moment it's not an option for me to go for this battle group. However, later on, most likely could have been a good idea. Anyways, let's check out the sniper. 22 kills in minute 15. It's okay. It's not epically good, however it's not weak at the same time. Yeah, there's the upgrade, as well as the MG gunner on top of the turret. Look at these nice cosmetics over here. All these holes in the armor of the Centaur. Nice. I mean, I'm not that a huge fan of the graphics of Company of Heroes 3, however, I think it's not even bad. I could have imagined more, but I'm still happy with yeah, with the graphics of Company of Heroes 3. It's still enjoyable. Ah, as I now see that, that's another huge ability of the Jägers. As soon as they are wetted, you get the access to the camouflage ability of them, as long as they are in cover. That is, that's strong in making, setting up traps for enemy vehicles, enemy snipers, stuff like that. Yeah. Unfortunately, they can't throw super strong mines. Yeah, that's the drawback. Alright, nothing is happening at the moment. Both players are just thinking. What shall be the next steps? Okay, and I decided, yeah, the next step is just to harass him a little bit. Actually, is working quite well. Because the Zeppers are just strong in close range and I'm fighting them on long range with 2 Rens. Now there's an epic tank battle going on in the middle of the center of the map. Yeah, and the boys' rifles are certainly doing their job, as well as the Crusader medium tanks. However, the snipers, it's idle. Oh, now it's fighting. Oh, at the same time, now it's retreating a little bit. Oh boy. Alright, now I have to retreat my Panzer IV. Oh, what do we see here? It's an unfinished mine. By the way, notice the mines I planted. So here there's a more or less offensive and defensive mine at the same time. In the middle or the center of the map. I think this is a good spot always, because sooner or later something will chase you through the center of the map. There's another defensive mine over here. Ah, okay. Oh, and these guys are just about to plant this mine as well. So, mines win games. Never forget to build mines. I think this is incredibly important. I remember this. I think I'm doing a misplay. Just try to chase the Crusader and Faust it. This is certainly not a good idea. Oh, it's even working. Oh, okay. Now I'm even capping the point. Oh, wow. That, to be honest, that should not work like this. Ah, okay. The decap fails. Fair enough. Yeah. Alright, 2 Panzer IVs versus an anti-tank gun, which is actually... Oh, okay, let's focus that for a little moment. So, many UK forces players just tend to spam sections with boys rifles and nothing else. And I think actually, yeah, I mean, it's effective at the moment, unfortunately. However, that's one of the most cheesiest threats you can think of. And certainly that's not a good way to practice good gameplay. That applies similarly to the Pioneer or the Zeppers, British Zepper spam, because I mean it's incredibly strong. So there's a build actually which relies on just building British Zeppers, like maybe around 20 throughout the match. And then spam Stuart tanks or Crusader medium tanks, not the Crusader AA medium tanks, but the regular Crusader tanks. And this strat is super strong at the moment. Because there are some balance issues certainly. Ooh, Panzer IV is dying. However, I really would recommend not to do that, because it's just not a good way to practice good gameplay. And it's also quite disrespectful towards your enemy, I guess. So, don't do that. Rather do it like this UK Forces player is doing. I mean, he's playing quite a nice style. We already saw him picking the correct counters against the sniper. I mean, unfortunately, the chases with the Humber Armored Car or the Dingo Light Scout Car weren't successful. However, the idea was incredibly good. And now he chose a strong battle group, and I think it's a viable choice. one certainly can do that. Oh, I'm overextending over here, that's a mistake. And then, as he faced me already having 2 Panzer IVs, he built an anti-tank gun. And this is something I really enjoy to see, because, yeah, as I said, many players just tend to build sections, more and more sections, and it just spam the boys rifles, which is effective, no question about that. Yeah, however, the anti-tank gun, I think, is the better choice. It's future-proof, I always like to say, because in the future the bugs and the disadvantages of the anti-tank gun certainly will be removed in balance patches, and then we will see more anti-tank guns like that. So, UK Forces player is having a hard time, however he is playing quite a clean style, I like that. And he's having... He lost some infantry units, which is a little bit dangerous, or it was just one zapper, right? However, his army composition is incredibly sturdy at the moment. He's having the Churchill heavy tank, which is super strong, and he's having 2 Crusader AA tanks, which are a huge threat. They are super strong against both infantry and armor. Yeah, don't forget to plant more and more mines, especially as you are floating ammunitions like I am doing. Yeah. And don't forget to rebuild the Lost Panzer IV. Oh, now we are seeing... Wow. Yeah. UK Forces player is trying to take his advantage. I mean, he remembered that he killed my first Panzer IV, and now my anti-tank, my inf-based anti-tank units are incredibly low, and he tried to chase me. However, now we just saw why mines win games. I mean, this Crusader AA medium tank just hit a mine and nearly died instantly, and the second Crusader was then focused down by my Jägers and the Panzer IV. Both died, so this was a huge loss for the British Forces player. So, once more we see mines win games. Don't forget to plant mines. It's incredibly important. And I think now, yeah, now it's GG, I guess, because I mean these losses maybe are a little bit too much for him. I mean, he is still having a Churchill and an anti-tank gun, and I think due to the boys rifles sections and some manpower he's still having, I guess he could go for another Churchill or another anti-tank gun and still would have a good time against my army composition. However, now it's really... I think now it's becoming hard and dangerous for him to... Why did this mine explode? To fight my army. Why did this mine explode? I'm confused. What happened here? Was that a bug? Don't know. Right, now I see his anti-tank gun. Yeah, and this is a mistake. When you notice that you just lost important units of your army, and you're maybe a little bit more in the weak spot at the moment, don't place your army remotely from your base. Don't overextend. In situations like that, you always have to make sure that you are playing defensively, even though maybe you're struggling with having victory points, stuff like that. But still, it's important to play defensively, because otherwise you certainly will lose. So you can. So he, I mean, he was lucky that the anti-tank gun survived. However, it could have been having another outcome for him if I would have played that better. I mean, it's quite a difficult situation for him now, and I think, despite from the slight overextend over here, he's still playing it really good. I mean, he's still focusing on his anti-tank gun, and it certainly got a few hits already. He's still using artillery. I mean, this artillery strike is, yeah, a little bit useless because it's easily dodgeable. But now we are seeing what I just talked about. Now he's playing defensively. He's backing up his anti-tank gun at least a little bit. And it is taking from some very good hits. And now we, yeah, indeed see the second Churchill. Yeah, and even though his army composition is a little bit weaker at the moment than mine, now he's having 2 Churchills as well as an anti-tank gun. That can be huge. However, I think he should have been reinforcing the anti-tank gun, because it's just having 2 models, and a red 2 anti-tank gun is something you don't want to lose. So, the mistake at the moment is that he is spreading his army, so that is something you can't do at the moment. He should have been focusing on this victory point, I guess, with this entire army. So his entire army should have been placed like over here. The anti-tank gun should have been placed over here to monitor this and that direction. It has a quite huge field of view, the anti-tank gun, so certainly possible to place it over here and monitor the entire all the flanks. And yeah, then the 2 Churchills should have been placed like over here and over here, and then he should have been getting back the victory point. I mean, he's getting it now, so it was not even bad. However, I think, yeah, since his army now is spread, like over here, there are some sections and a section and a pioneer squad or engineer squad. Over here, there's a section with a boy's rifle. Yeah. And that enables me to crush the rest of his army. I think this mistake just happened in the heat of the moment. And that's something we all suffer from time to time. I mean, the UK Forces player played really well. That was quite a sturdy match. He was using quite a nice build order. It was really sturdy, it was clean, it was not abusive, it was just really great. And he had some really good, he made some really good decisions about how to counter some of my key units, like the sniper, for instance. I mean, the outcome of the counter units weren't that good, actually, as I already figured out. However, the general ideas were quite nice. So, well played. However, at the same time, I would like to come back to my initial message. So, the matchup Wehrmacht against the UK forces is not unwinnable, and you can see how it's been done. So, just go for 3 Grins and 2 Engineers and 2 Jägers with Shreks, and then go for Panzer Force. I mean, that's pretty much meta. What is a little bit off meta is to go for a sniper. However, maybe you should feel confident about that, because I think against the British forces it can be a little bit, yeah, let's say exciting to go for a sniper because of the Humber and the Dingo, and of course the sections with scopes. However, at the same time, I mean, every sniper is spicing up the match, and I always love sniper play because every match is becoming more interesting when there is a sniper within. And yeah, so I think that's a good way to go for you when you're playing Wehrmacht. And it even enables you not to pick any battle groups. So as you can see, the match is over, and it was a good match, even though the Wehrmacht was not forced to pick any battle groups. It's just not necessary, because this meta build is strong enough to deal with anything the UK Forces player can build for quite some time. If he is going for a 17-pounder, I think that's the latest point where I mean, maybe if he went for the 17-pounder and you already tacked up for your T3 with the upgrade, then you can go for a Nebelwerfer to counter the 17 pounder. However, if that is not the case, so if you weren't having enough resources to go for the T3, then just go for the mechanized battle group and choose the Vesper self-propelled artillery, because then you can just counter the 17 pounder without having or without the need of going for further tax and resource investment. Because I mean, the Nebelwerfer is not cheap as well, so and the tax to get it in the first place are not cheap as well. Yeah, so yeah. However, still, I think that's something you could do. Another way to counter the 17 pounder or anything else is just to go for the Luftwaffe battle group and choose the Stuka Leuter. That's or the fragmentation bombs. That's also a good choice. A little bit cheaper, and they are still good to counter the 17 pounder because it's stationary. Yeah. I mean, the Luftwaffe battle group is also a good choice because of the infantry reserves. I mean, as you can see, there are quite some infantry units on the field already, and they are just becoming cheaper when you choose this ability. You also get some reconnaissance flights. That's all something you can choose. However, as you can see, the build is sturdy, and you don't actually need very much more than that. And all the battle groups you can choose are just optional for you. So if you are facing a certain threat like a 17 pounder, stuff like that, maybe choose a battle group and just counter it. And with that, let's say GG, well played, and good time.